Hi guys, this is Unit 9 video lesson. We have been talking about measuring length and all the units that you measure by for length and the tools that you measure with. So let's review that for a little bit. Number 1 and 2 are review. Number 1 says, what is the non-standard unit for inches that we use? So if it's wanting a unit, it wants to know what you measured by for inches. Okay? So that goes back to the very first day that we did measurement. Okay, this page right here. Let me see if I can scroll. Nope, it's not going to let me. Okay, so first of all, you talked about standard units of length to measure by and non-standard units of length to measure by. Okay, and the reason we do non-standard units like centimeter cubes for centimeters and square tiles, it's hard to see, but it's a little square tile like a counter, for inches is so that as kids, you can get used to picturing that in your mind. You can picture an inch and think, oh, that's a square tile, so it's about that long. And you can picture for a centimeter cube, a centimeter. And if it says centimeter, you think in your head, oh, I know what a centimeter cube is because we've done that in class. So that's about the length of a centimeter. So you can get a visualization of the length of those items after working with them a lot. Okay? And then the standard units of length are the regular ways that lots of people measure length with inches and centimeters, whether that's depending on what tool. So for example, scroll down here. There's the tools that you measure with. To get these measurements, we use rulers, measuring tapes, meter sticks, and yardsticks is what we've been measuring with. Those are the tools we've used this unit for second grade to measure length. So when it asks you, let me make that a big screen again. There we go. Down here. So when it asks you on day 2 homework, pause your video if you need to get that out. Number 1, what is the non-standard unit for inches that we use? Well, inches is a standard unit on one of the tools. So non-standard for inches is equal to a square tile. So on that blank, you would write square tile. Push pause if you need to, because I'm going to go on. The next review question says, oh, and I just made that screen. What did I push? Holy cow. Anyways, the non-standard, or what is the standard unit of length for a centimeter cube? So centimeter cubes are like our unit cubes that we've used in class. Those are non-standard. That's just something the kids use to learn length, but it's not something that everybody learns. So you go back here, and the standard unit for centimeter cubes is centimeters. So you would write that on your line. Take a moment to push pause. If you need to get this out of your math notebook, you feel free to. If you can't see it very good on the video, it is in your math notebook, and you can see how to spell those words. Now, number 3 is getting into some more, after you know what an inch is and what a centimeter is, it's good to know how to estimate and make a good guess. Not a guess that's way too big, not a guess that's way too small, but a good guess. So do you predict it will take more centimeters or more inches to measure the pin? We're going to measure this awesome K-State pin here in a minute. So right now I want you to make a prediction, and it's a prediction, so if you get it wrong, no big deal. We'll just learn from it. But I don't want you to change it here in a minute when you find out the answer. So number 3, if you think it's going to take more inches to measure the length of this pin, then you put inches here. If you think it's going to take more centimeters to measure the length of that pin, then you put centimeters here. You do not put both. You do not leave it blank. You pick inches or centimeters because it wants to know what it will take, which unit it will take more of. So take a moment and write that down. Do push pause on this one if you need a moment, because I'm about to go on and we're going to actually measure this. Okay? So, I have it on the inches side. The last part says, what is the measurement of the pin? It wants it in centimeters. cm is the abbreviation for centimeters. It wants it in centimeters first. Well, if I look at what I have against the pin, is that inches or centimeters? Well, it's labeled inches, but even if it wasn't, you would know because there's more space, more length, and inches are longer than centimeters. So I want it on the centimeter side first. I'm going to move my pen down actually. Now, remember when you're lining up your object to measure it, we don't start like in the middle of a dash, of two dashes. We don't make our item crooked. That's not an accurate measure. You make your item straight and start it at the beginning, which is the 0 here, okay? So that's about lined up with the 0. You can count your hops, but since this one started at 0 and it ends at 8, the pin actually ends at 17. The picture goes to 18, but the pin ends at 17 centimeters. One of the things you had to learn, go ahead and fill in that 17 centimeters, was how to measure by a ruler that didn't start with 0. So if we put it on the 2, for example, and how would you measure that? Well, you could either start here and count your hops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go on till it stops over here at the 19. Or you could do the big number, 19, minus the small number where it started, which is 2, and find the difference, which would still be 17, no matter how you do it. 17 centimeters. Okay. Now it wants the measurement in inches. So I line it up at the beginning, which if you count backwards, that's the 0 right here. Okay, so it goes from 0 to, okay, we talked about this in class too. Is it closer to the beginning, the middle, or the end? Is it closer to the 6, the middle, which we called half, or the 7? Okay, I would take either one, 6.5 or 7. To me, it looks a little bit closer to the 6.5 inches. I would also take 7 because you're learning how to round a little bit here. So back to your prediction. Don't change it, like I said. But let's talk about it. Did it take more centimeters? It took 17 centimeters, and it took 6.5 inches to measure that pin. It's not because our pin stretched or it got shorter. It's the same pin, the same length. So why did it take more centimeters than inches? Thinking length, it took more centimeters because the centimeters are a smaller unit to measure by, and you need more of them to fill up that space. Inches are further apart. They're longer, so it doesn't take as many to fill up that space. Okay? So, and of course on the test they're going to try to trick you with the wording. So we're going to talk about this measurement and this pin more tomorrow. So go ahead, push pause, rewind if you need to get more information, but we'll go over this more in class. Thanks.